What's up, child? Welcome back for another retro review of The Wire. Okay, we are on episode 4, season 2. I know these are coming out a little slower than we did season 1. We're gonna speed up the pace. We're gonna pick up the pace, y'all. We're gonna pick up the pace. Real life is going on. But we start this episode off. We have Frank down at the docks, confronting Nikki about stealing that cargo ship, and he's pissed. And he was like, "Listen, I am barely holding on to the business we have coming through here right now." He said, "The only thing that we have left is our reputation. The only thing I have is that I can guarantee people that when they send their cargoes through here, that nothing is going to happen." He said, "When's the last time you saw trucks backed up to come and get cargo off of our ships?" He was like, "And y'all are sitting here stealing off of what little business we do have." He was like, "I'm barely holding on." And Nikki was like, "Well, I needed the money." He was like, "I don't give a, the hell?" He said, "All of us are needing the money." He was like, "If you need money, you come see me." And so he told him to bring it back. And Nikki was like, "It's too late. I already sold that shit." He said, "Well, listen, y'all lay low. Don't spread that money around. Don't be flashy with it. You know what I'm saying? I need this to die down. I need y'all not to look like the ones that did it. Because clearly, it's gotten out that something went down." So then Frank was like, "Well, who's helping y'all? Who's y'all inside man?" And Nikki was like, "If you don't know, I ain't about to tell you." I said, "I know that's right. Nikki, you done already got in trouble. Ain't no need you bringing everybody else into your shit." Okay? Then we down to the jail. Now, the warden is I think they had 4 dead and 8 in the infirmary, 4 or 5 dead in one night, 8 in the infirmary. Remember, we left off with the hot shot that Avon put in the jail to set up the police officer, the corrections officer. And, the warden is just this is ridiculous. How did it even get in the jail? And, the media's outside and it's this whole thing. And so the officer was like, Officer Reynolds, he was like, "Listen, he said, this is a ready-made deal for a snitch." He said, "And I'm sure there's going to be some people ready to snitch, but you're going to have to be ready to wheel and deal. Nobody is going to say nothing if they're not going to get nothing out of it. So y'all got to be ready to take some years off of people's, sentence." And so the warden was like, "All right, well, we're going to have to do what we got to do." So then we see D talking to Avon. And D's like, "Listen, you knew what was going to happen. You set that thing up, didn't you?" And Avon was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "Whatever." He was like, "You running this damn jail and don't nothing go on in here that you don't know about. You know what happened." And Avon was like, "Listen, I told you, just stick close to me. I got this under control. Just do what I tell you to do. And both of us about to go home." D told Avon kiss his ass and leave him out of whatever he got going on. I was like, "You just an idiot." So later on in the episode, we see where, I'm just going to knock this out. Later on in the episode, we see where Avon, he got his lawyer, old boy, same dude from the first season, and they end up making a deal. And Officer Reynolds knows good and damn well, he was like, as soon as they leave the room, Officer Reynolds was like, "You know it was him, right? You know it was him. But at the end of the day, what you gonna do about it? You can't prove it." And Avon gave you who it was. He told him who the officer was that was sneaking the drugs in and all this other stuff. But Avon got his deal. I think he got 5 years. And then I think after the first 2 or 3 years, he'll be considered for probation. So he really only about to do 3 years on his deal. And had D stuck with him, D probably could have gotten out. Now, he wasn't going to get as good of a deal as Avon got because Avon didn't have as serious of charges. But he would have definitely gotten a little something. So anyway, got that. So then we have Lieutenant Daniels meeting up with Greggs. Not Greggs. Was it Greggs? Anyway, Lieutenant Daniels meeting up with the acting commissioner. And remember, last week, Stassi was like, on the last episode, Stassi was like, "Listen, I want Daniels on my detail." And he was like, "Daniels already put his paperwork in." He was like, "I don't give a damn. His paperwork ain't gone before the board," which means you can still bring him in here. That's who I want running this detail because my son-in-law tells me da-da-da-da-da-da. So you have them having this moment, right? And, Dan was like, I put my paperwork in. And he was like, well, it's not too late. We can snatch it back. He was like, why the hell would I do that? He said, I'm about to be up out of here. Like, I don't have to deal with you or your politics. I'm gone. And he was like, what if I say it's a clean slate? Whatever happened was in the past. If you stay and you do this one last detail for me, there's a promotion in it for you. So, Daniel sits back down like, oh, really? Do tell. Tell me all about it. And he says, listen, and what I want, he said, he got a promotion out of it. And the other thing he says is, I want to be able to pick who I choose. I want to be able to pick, who takes my place. I mean, who's on my team. He was like, you're not going to set me up like you set me up last time and drop, a bunch of deadheads on me. So he was like, I don't care who the hell you pick. Like, that's fine. Give me the list. So they send the list down to, I can't think his name now, but McNulty's old boss, right? And he was like, you can have everybody on this list except for McNulty, because you had McNulty on this list. So he was like, you got everybody except for McNulty. McNulty ain't going no damn where. So the gang's all here. He goes to talk to Kima. Kima was like, listen, I made some promises. I told my wife that I was going to stay off the streets. And he was like, well, I can respect that. She was like, but I want to do it. He was like, listen, I told my wife I was retiring. He was like, you tell my wife and I'll tell yours. And then it's funny, we have this scene where Kima's eating dinner with her wife, and Daniels is eating dinner with his wife, and neither one of them are speaking to their significant others because they pissed off at them because they told them about the job. It's funny. Then we have McNulty, meeting up with, he goes down to the precinct and to talk to Bunk or whatever about his Jane Doe, to get some information, get some paperwork on his Jane Doe. And Bunk was like, before I give you what you're looking for, you need to give me what I'm looking for. I need you to find Omar. Like, for real, I need you to find Omar. And of course, McNulty was like, don't worry about it. I got it. I got Omar. Like, I got this. McNulty is also working on trying to trace, he's still working on his Jane Doe. So we see for the rest of the episode, we see him going all around Baltimore looking for Omar. Now, the first place he goes to Omar's burnt out van and leaves a mess. Now, listen, this has to be a year later. Why the hell is Omar's van still sitting there? It is burnt out. It is looted. It is whatever. Why is it still there? And the thing is, that's not even a situation where I'm like, it's unrealistic. It's very realistic that van will still be sitting in an abandoned alley somewhere, right? He asked the kids, do y'all know Omar? And the kids looked at him like, are you crazy? Like, even if we did know Omar, we're not telling you. Like, come on, McNulty, you know better than that. So he ends up, he's driving around Baltimore. Who does he run up? Who does he roll across? Bubs. Bubs out there running capers with his little partner in crime, his little sidekick, the little white boy. And he ends up following them. They done went and robbed the store out of a bunch of daggone CD players. This is a couple of things in this episode that dates it. The CD players, them stealing them CD players, those portable CD players, child. I remember I had one of those. Anyway, moving on. I was about to tell the story, but these reviews be long enough without me adding to it. Anyway, so he ends up rolling up on Bubs like, listen, I know you got a pocket for like a coat. He had like one of the oversized coats. He was like looking like Lenny from Good Times. He was like, I know you got a coat full of CDs. And basically, if you help me find Omar, I'll forget that I seen all of this. And Bubs is like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, Omar. So of course, what does Bubs end up doing? Asking about Omar. What? And he ends up asking about Omar, and who overhears him asking about Omar but the chick, one of the chicks that Omar been robbing, been running capers with. And of course, she gets the word back to Omar, and later on in the episode, we see Omar rolling up on Bubs with his sawed-off shotgun like, heard you was looking for me. here I go. I'm sure Buzz peed his pants because I probably would have peed my pants too. Okay, because they out there trying to rob. They out there trying to steal a whole damn radiator, child. Anyway, Nikki and the girlfriend. Nikki got the girlfriend in the basement. He can't even let the girl leave out of the front door. She was like, we have a whole child together. Like, I still can't walk out the front door like, your parents must know that we having sex. We have a child together. He was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Like, you can go out the basement, go out the back door, I'll pick you up, you know. And you just see their relationship is so, I mean, I'm sure that there's love, and I'm sure there was a lot of love in the beginning, but you definitely see where their relationship has dissolved into, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with Nikki feeling inadequate. He doesn't have money, he's not making any money, can't take care of nothing, but he tells her that he's coming to some money, and, you know, he might be able to find a spot, and that hopefully, you know, I just need you to hold on with me a little bit longer, and we can find something, you know, we can maybe roll into something. I need you to work with a brother a little bit longer, you know. But she is so irritated with him and disgusted. Okay. Meanwhile, back down to the bar, we got Ziggy doing exactly what Nikki is telling him not to do. He's got one of the cameras. He kept one for himself. And it's funny because, again, this is dating. I remember the first digital camera I ever played, you know, I ever had a chance to play around with. And you had to actually take the one I had was, remember disk drives? Like, I mean, this, not the floppy disk, but the hard disk. I think they call them 3 1/4 or whatever. You actually put the actual disc into the camera. You took the pictures and you would download those pictures to the disc, and then you could put that disc in your computer and upload the pictures. Child. So Ziggy is playing with this digital camera. I mean, he's at the bar with everybody looking at him crazy. Because they're like, again, I'm sure it's a rumor out that these cameras came up missing, and they're giving him that look like, so is that one of the cameras that we all, you know, on the hook for? You know, and it's one dude in particular that's really, really staring at Ziggy. And I was like, yeah, you might want to keep an eye on that one. And Ziggy is out there doing everything. He's taking pictures of his genitalia, like all kinds of crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so Ziggy is going to be a problem. Then we see Ziggy bought a $2,000 coat. And that's when Nikki really gets pissed off. Nikki is really like, you got to be kidding me right now. Like, you bought a $2,000 coat. He was like, I mean, I could tell him, you know, that it's fake. I could tell him. He was like, but, like, again, you're flashing this stuff around. I specifically told you to lay low and hold the money for a minute. Like, don't spend the money for a minute. But Ziggy is, listen, Ziggy is simple. Ziggy is the type of person, like, you could be friends all you want, but you can't have that kind of loyalty. Like, Ziggy gonna have y'all all dead, okay? What else happened? We see a scene where we see Bunk and the female officer from the port. We see them kind of bonding a little bit. You know, we learn a little bit about her story. She used to work down at the toll, but she went through a divorce, needed to make more money, answer the ad, and that's how she got the job. You know, so Bunk was like, did you ever really want to be a police officer? She was like, I wanted more money. You know. Then we see where Stringer is having some issues with the packages. The cut is real bad. Like, the cut is horrible. And they're trying to stretch it out without totally, like, diluting their the strength of their product. And Lord, I lost my train of thought, y'all. And and Stringer knows he's got a problem, but at the end of the day, they can only do what they can do, because remember, the New York Connect cut them off, and they getting their drugs from the dude in Atlanta. You know, they got to kind of do what they do for a minute and kind of chill out so he can, you know, put something better together for them, you know. Now, in the meantime, Rawls sat down and had a conversation with Bunk and Freeman and told them, listen, y'all got 13 open cases or 14 open cases, and I'm not happy with the status. Like, I don't like having all that red on my board. Y'all need to figure it out. And he's pissed off at them because they didn't arrest or they didn't bring in any of the people off the ship for questioning. And they were like, okay, but They didn't speak English. We were in Philadelphia. We ain't had no jurisdiction. What did you really want us to do? He was like, listen, y'all work this case however y'all want to work this case, but let this case hang on my neck. It's going to hang on y'all's neck. And he's let them know, I'm not going down for it. So if y'all don't figure it out, you better figure it out. Now, the dude that they sold, Nikki and Ziggy sold the cameras to, he comes to them and tells them that he needs to pull some more stuff off the ship. Now, remember, he was going through Frank, but Frank got pissed off with them after them dead women showed up. So I don't think they really want to kind of go through Frank. So they're kind of going through, they're going to go through Nikki and, they're going to go through Nikki and Ziggy. And even after Nikki told Uncle Frank what he wasn't going to do, you know, he's sort of in the catch-22 because he kind of can't say no, but he kind of should say no. So, and it's these chemicals, and so the question is, well, what is it that you're really planning on doing with these chemicals? Like, you know, and of course, they're not answering any questions because it ain't like they're going to answer to them. You know, like, just do what I said to do. Like, ain't nobody answering to you. Like, ain't nobody, listen, you just do what I told you to do. So, we see this moment with Nikki and his dad, and we realize that, you know, Nikki's dad, he's a gambler. That might be where a lot of the money is going. He probably used to work the docks, you know, he's that whole lifestyle or whatever, but him and his dad do have a good relationship. And we see that moment. Like, it's nothing, I mean, it's one of those things where you lay a foundation, but it's a moment there, you know. So meanwhile, while all of this is going on, y'all, we have Stringer is setting up the corrections officer that they trying to, you know, get him up, because they got the deal in place. You know, the lawyer put the deal in place. Now they need proof. They're like, well, you know, we can't just go on Avon's word for it. We need some proof. So they set him up. You know, they figured out how he was getting the drugs in the Hall's container. So they put a Hall's container in his car. They set him up. I mean, here's the thing. It's one of those situations where, in that particular instance, he wasn't guilty, but he is guilty. So it's like, am I really mad that they set you up? Because you really were guilty. You know what I'm saying? But what ended up happening was they were able to, they searched his car and they found the drugs. And of course, he knew it was a setup because he knew he ain't had no drugs that day. But that didn't change the fact that he, you know, was selling drugs. So it is what it is, dude. Like, what does Judge Judy always say? You gotta have clean hands. Like, you can't say, normally I'm guilty, I'm just not guilty today. You know, that doesn't really work. Now, McNulty is still trying to get his, you know, information on his Jane Doe, and he was able to find old letters that were in the container, in the shipping container. And he found a woman who could translate the language. And so he went to her and he was able to get that information and get the and get the translation. And they were basic generic letters. I mean, they don't give him a specific city and location, but he again was able, you know, step by step, breadcrumb by breadcrumb, he's getting more and more information. But he still doesn't have everything he needs or everything in place. But he's working on it. He's working on the job. I think he was able to glean like siblings and stuff like that, but still not a whole lot of specific information. Now, Ziggy, they were able to find out, you know, with their little inside connect, they were able to find out the connection, the container where this liquid that they're looking for is in. And dude, you know, he looks him up and he was like, so Ziggy, what y'all need this for? He's like, what do they need this for? Ziggy's like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, they gonna pay us. I don't care why they need it. They're gonna pay us. Now, there's another dude that clearly him and Ziggy have some sort of rivalry. He spills coffee on Ziggy's jacket. Ziggy ends up posting that picture he took of his penis. He ends up posting it on the dude's computer. So they have some sort of rivalry. And the only reason why I mention some of these little odds and ends type stuff is because in The Wire, you never know what's going to come back later. And that's important. So some of this stuff, I don't know because I don't remember everything that happened. But I'm like, let me go and mention it now, because you just never know what's going to end up being important later on down the road. Now, so Bunk and Daniels, Bunk and Freeman they rolled down to the shipyards to try to question old boy, the dude that was in charge of that container that ended up having the dead women on it. Now remember, that's Frank's right hand man. That is his right hand man. And they realize just how powerful the unions are, right? And they end up coming to question him. And he was like, he's playing dumb. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know the shipping container. I don't know nothing. What's my name again? I don't know my name either. And they were like, sure, you don't know nothing? Then you can come on downtown. Let's clear this up. He was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen either. Like, I ain't going nowhere until I get my union rep comes with me. Like, I ain't going nowhere with y'all. So they're starting to see just how these unions are rolling, and that it's a different animal than what they was dealing with down on the corner. You know what I'm saying? Down in the projects. Now, in the meantime and in between time, Stassi is still being trolled, and that damn van is once again, another picture pops up, and then I think it's in Norfolk this time or somewhere, Philadelphia or some shop. It's making its way. It's making its rounds. He ends up taking Daniels down to their new little location, and of course, it's a little bit of a step up from the basement, from them being down in the dungeon last season, but not much more. But again, the gang's all back. They don't have Carver yet, but they have pastrami sandwich. They got Kima, Daniels, and he wants Bunk, and he wants Freeman. I don't know how much he wants Bunk, but he wants Freeman. But of course, they got them 13 open homicides, and that he can't get McNulty. But what's going to end up being funny is that McNulty is really working the case anyway, because they're working he's got the Jane Doe at the docks or whatever. So anyway, it's going to all end up coming together. Y'all know how this goes on The Wire. But we see, we see this, and we see, now in the meantime, while all that's going on, Stringer sees that they're playing work, but he's not happy. And you start to see the first signs, well, not really the first time, but you start to see the signs that maybe Stringer is really ready to get into something else and really ready to transition out of the game. Like, you could kind of tell that whole plan didn't really sit well with him, what they did, and the fact that, they unnecessarily killed some people. Like, for the first time, you kind of feel like it bothers him, whereas in the first season, you felt like he understood that it was just an ends to a means, Then we see Bunk and Freeman go down to the bar where the union guys hang out. And once again, they're trolling old boy. They're trolling, Frank's right-hand man. He's down at the bar. Old girl told him where to find him. And, they're going to the jukebox playing, Motown hits and all that. They wasn't trying to hear that. Like, them songs probably hadn't played in 20 years down on that jukebox. Frank sees them coming through there, and they really feeling some kind of way, because they already don't like the fact that the police are around, because there's so much dirt going on. They really don't know why the police are there. They don't know if the police are there over the cameras. They don't know if the police are there over the chemicals coming up missing. They don't know if the police are there because of the dead women. Like, they really don't know why the police are there, but they know that what they don't want is that they don't want the police to be there. They don't like the fact that the police are there. But Freeman and Bunk are doing what Freeman and Bunk do best. They're making them as uncomfortable as they can. And, Frank finally is like, well, what's going on? Like, why I got here? And they were like, we hear about them dead women. And, of course, Frank, he ends up going in the bathroom and throwing up, child, because that whole situation still is not sitting well with him. And that's where the episode ends. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.